Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
And this is the Manly Battleships YouTube channel where we're bringing you Last Week in Geek, the video podcast where we go over everything interesting last week in Geek.
Pretty proud of you. That's a few weeks in a row you've got it right.
Some quick Manly Battleships updates. We're going to have a table at the exhibition section for Katsukan coming up pretty soon, so you can come by, say hi, look at some of the new offerings that we're going to be putting out to cons this year. And our next full guest appearance where we're going to be doing content is at RetrieverCon on February 22nd at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. So if you're in that area at all, feel free to check that out. I think we're going to be doing 3 events, including 2 game shows and something from the educational track. Now it's time for the new media section. We got flame bursts, but Rockstar wants to doot. It's not October anymore. There's no more dooting. Netflix has gotten the rights to make a live-action One Piece. And the world stood by and asked, why? What possible motivation do you have to make a live-action One Piece? How is that going to work? I'll tell you exactly how that's going to work. It's going to look like Fist of the North Star live-action. And it's going to be terrible.
And it's going to go on forever. Or maybe they have a whole new franchise that they can milk forever.
You know, maybe what they'll do is just buy the rights to a lot of other things and then make like an anime Super Smash Brothers show, kind of like, what is it, Captain N and the random Nintendo characters. I remember. Does anyone remember that show where there's this kid and a really deep voiced Mega Man and a whole bunch of other random Nintendo characters?
I'll make a mega diversion.
I don't know. Like you can get like freaking One Piece with Luffy and then get Inuyasha and all the other ones, and they can like be friends or something. Talk about the power of friendship.
If you're fans of fantasy movies from the 80s,
so nobody.
well, I grew up with Willow, and I'm quite happy to hear that it's getting a Disney Plus series. It's going to be a sequel to the original film. I'm so excited.
I'm the Whitebeard. Willow.
It was my very first fantasy series. It's how I got into fantasy. I love the movie and Mardigan and
it was so good that it was like the first of a 3-movie franchise. Right? Do we know if anyone's actually going to be attached to this movie from the original? Like, as far as the actors go?
No, it's literally just in production with somebody writing it.
I don't know if they're going to get Val Kilmer to lose enough weight to reprise his role. Can you
Oh,
imagine
it's not even
fat Matt Mardigan in a chair just going like, ah!
You realize he hates that role.
Of course he does, which is
And
why it would be amazing. Just like, what do you mean I signed a contract saying I would do it if you ever did it? God damn it! It sucks, too, because it's probably one of his best roles, honestly.
Oh, he will not sign anything if the fan comes up and says, I loved you as Mad Mardigan. He actually gets really pissed.
Well, that's unfortunate, because his range doesn't really extend much beyond that, honestly.
Well, that's rude.
Did you see Val Kilmer Batman?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, go back and be Mad Mardigan. We ended this last week with the superb owls. Many of you don't care about it. I kind of don't care about it, but something that we do care about is the media that came with it, especially around the halftime show and all the commercials.
Did you just call it Superb
The
Owls?
Superb Owls. The point being, we got several new trailers, the first of which was for Sonic, which is
weird at best. Something about like a bunch of athletes saying how fast Sonic is in like
he's so
vague
fast.
terms and
He's so fast.
race car drivers and stuff. And then we got a bit of like banter between him and Dr. Robotnik, which is still really weird because it's Jim Carrey. Then we got more Mulan, which is like 30 seconds of, hey, look, she fights. Cool, Disney. Weren't aware of that fight scene.
I'm getting less and less encouraged about the tone of this movie as time goes on. And I'm going to probably still go watch it, unfortunately, but I'm not excited about it anymore.
You were excited about it at first?
I was excited that they were going to do it, even though I thought it was a little silly to follow up a Chinese version of the drama, which came out a couple years ago. They made a movie called Mulan with another Chinese version of the movie just released by Disney. I mean, I don't know what you want. Clearly Disney doesn't either. SpongeBob Sponge on the Run also got another trailer, which seems to be an irreverent look at kind of like a wink wink nudge nudge, guys. It's all about the money.
We know it's a trailer and we're selling you a movie and yeah, we spent a lot of money on this.
What's this for? Money.
Then we have Rick and Morty, who is stuck in Pringles commercial, which can't tell if it's a Pringles commercial or, hey, the last half of the season 4 is coming out.
And the trend of old media becoming new media continues with the development of Flashpoint. Remember that one-off episode we did a couple weeks back where I played an old Flash game and we speculated about the future of old Flash games? Well, they have answered my call. You see, this new website project is trying to preserve old Flash games in a way that you can download and continue to use, even though Adobe Flash is going to be shut down permanently at the end of this year. So I'm a little excited about it because I think they're up to 36,000 titles so far. There's the potential for that to be expanded. And while they have commented that if the original copyright owner decides that they don't want that out there, they'll pull it. Right now, it's like 230 gigabytes of data. 290 gigabytes that you can download. Or I think they're going to have customizable packet versions as well.
Well, what they have is sort of like a Steam where you kind of will have it, but you download as you play. So that's also an option for you that don't have 290 gigabytes to give away to just Flash games.
Gotta see how many hentai key titles are in that folder.
Wizards of the Coast have announced that they have a new game studio called Archetype Entertainment. It's actually made up of old BioWare employees, the ones that worked on KOTOR, so obviously some of the best. And they're working on...
obviously, huh?
Obviously some of the best. And they're working on a new RPG. They haven't told us what it's for yet, but here's hoping it's good.
That wraps up new media, so now we get to do the meme of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week. This is where we talk about the meme of the week.
Never gonna get used to that. If you've been watching Manly Battleships for any length of time, you know that we enjoyed Netflix's animated show, BoJack Horseman, which has finally come to its interesting conclusion the past couple days.
Interesting! I didn't do it this time!
Yes, but I used it...
Interesting!
Yes, but I actually mean interesting, not as a replacement for any other word.
He used it this time. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
And there's just so many emotions tied to this conclusion, which, by the way, Rockstar wrote an essay about it, which you can find in the notes section of the Manly Battleships Facebook page, pending website developments, which coming soon, we promise. But that brings us to the meme selection for this week's Meme of the Week, because it's actually one I made, and I'm hoping to turn it into a new template with your help. It's this one! Because this was like the peak funny moment for me of the season, where Todd just goes in there and adds his own little spiel. So, if you're interested, I'm going to have that available at some point really soon. You can help me mock it up if you want. It's just so many possibilities. Yes, I'm tooting my own horn, but it's a great meme idea, so you need to help with that. Now, on to the real news!
And this is where the news kind of gets weird. It's mostly video game centered. For instance, Fortnite...
Yeah, I like how you did grimace when you said it.
Fortnite! They're having esports teams just going around high schools and colleges, and it'll be free to compete. So just another way you guys can fail out of college and school. No, and they'll have their own coaches, too.
I know.
Like, that's the best part. It's like a legit team you can now join across the nation. So it's like, guys, just drop out of school and become an esports guy.
Chess players, by the way, you know, guys who've won multi-million dollars in competition, went over 100 years without having to appropriate the term athlete for what they do. So, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, this is just competitive games, gentlemen and ladies. And while Epic is entering the classroom, Atari has its own ideas about how to facilitate the failure of the American youth. They're opening their own specialized hotel chain.
Hotels, as if E.T. was already not a big mistake.
In the most questionable move since the release of E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari, Atari wants to own some hotels in strategic locations, mostly on the West Coast. The East Coast doesn't matter, guys. Don't worry about it.
We don't exist. It's fine.
In addition to a standard hotel setup, they're going to include a lot of really interesting amenities, mostly geared towards, I guess, e-sports gaming. And then
for
they're also
professionals and amateurs, apparently.
So I guess just big LAN rooms, essentially. Plus, they're going to have all the other stuff like a movie theater and bakeries for some reason where they can get Fortnite cookies and PewDiePie cookies, probably. That'd be actually kind of fun. I'd go to that. But I can't because you're nowhere near me.
There are 8 hotels. 8 hotels.
None of them near me.
It's like Chicago, Las Vegas, San Francisco, San Juan, Austin, and Seattle.
I call the Pac-Man suite.
That's if they do specialized suites. I didn't.
Oh, they're going to do specialized suites, and if not, someone will make sure that there is one that's just like Pac-Man. Yes, put the white dots in my mouth, Daddy.
Do I need to remind you that this isn't for kids? Nintendo has had some good news when it comes to the Switch. They have currently outsold the SNES, the Super Nintendo. It's 52 million Switches sold versus the 49.1 million of the Super Nintendo sold.
Hey guys, we finally outsold that thing we sold over 20 years ago. Look at us.
I mean, I'll be honest. The Switch is actually kind of cool.
I mean, I'm not disputing that. If anything, I was actually surprised that they haven't sold even more. We've talked about this before in how the Switch and honestly Nintendo's general marketing plan in general differs a lot from other game console companies. But if anything, I would have thought that maybe the Switch had the potential to kind of shake things up and be the new standard, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not even just the standard, but much like the Wii of old. Everyone picked like an Xbox or a PS4, but then also had a Wii. But apparently the Switch hasn't caught on enough. And I don't know
Joy-Con
what the
drift.
holdout is. Oh, that's...
Joy-Con drift.
Well, Nintendo, you have no one to blame but yourself for that, do you? You know, I don't think that the Switch would hold up to the GameCube standard. You know how there's like, here's the GameCube. All right, the GameCube has to be able to survive a drop from 5 feet.
Oh no.
Because they're going to drop it. I think that Nintendo went wrong the moment they made a console that couldn't survive being dropped by a child. Speaking of the Switch, a California man has pled guilty to charges of hacking in relation to Switch data and, hopefully, unrelated, a charge of child pornography.
I told you guys it was going to get weird today. I wasn't lying.
Hopefully that is not an Animal Crossing Easter egg. Dun, dun, dun! As part of the plea deal, he's looking at something like 3 years in prison, registration as a sex offender, and something about $260,000 in fine/restitution. Yeah. The potential maximum sentence, incidentally, was 5 years for the hacking and 20 years for the child pornography charge. So on the whole, it seems like a pretty decent deal.
For him. And Nintendo.
I mean, Nintendo's making more off of it than they probably lost in the hacking. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Are there any details about exactly what he leaked as far as the data goes?
Just, like, updates about the Switch that nobody was supposed to know about, and it sounded like it mostly went to his Discord friends. So I don't know how public he really went about it, but I guess they decided to put both of these cases together, and there you go.
And again, we hope that they're different, but if not, we have several questions.
Speaking of lawsuits!
It's like we had 2 weeks back to back about lawsuits and nothing but lawsuits.
This time it was Nintendo against a company called Mario Mobility. You might have heard of them if you've heard anything about the Japanese news when it comes to Mario Kart replication kart tournaments over in Japan. Mario Mobility was one of the biggest ones doing them. They are actually facing to have to pay Nintendo 50 million yen as a fine since Nintendo did just win that lawsuit. It should deter other smaller companies from continuing to do the practice. And this is also despite Mario Mobility actually moving on and trying to make their Mario Kart thing into a superhero kart thing. So, that's great. But I think people in Tokyo are actually much happier because it turns out that During one of these kart races, a Vietnamese tourist was actually run over by one of the carts. Good news kind of all around. If you did want to have a Mario Kart experience, however, Nintendo is trying to open a Super Nintendo World theme park, and they might have a Mario Kart ride there for us to go on.
This isn't the first time we've talked about this, incidentally. We went over this a couple weeks ago when the lawsuit was first developing, and interestingly, I will point this out again. If this case took place in the United States, Nintendo might not have won because of the unique way that copyright law is dealt with when it comes to specifically clothing. So depending on how the company marketed it and presented it as an option, like for example, if they just say, come race go-karts and look at all these costumes you can wear, then technically they probably could have gotten around it. So I don't know. Things are a little bit murky because it's still under Japanese law as opposed to American law. Meanwhile, Disney takes one step closer to being a full umbrella conglomerate. The original CEO of Hulu, Randy Freer, has stepped down, and now that role is being combined with the head of Disney Plus by CEO Kevin Mayer. So Kevin Mayer is now in charge of Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN, the works. It's all one big happy streaming family ready to smash the face of the competition.
Where did you just come back from, Panda?
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, the site of a homegrown yearly observance in rural America.
That's right, when Punxsutawney Phil tells us if we're getting, more spring? Early spring? I don't even know what the fuck we do on Groundhog Day anymore.
Well, he didn't see his shadow, so we're supposed to get an early spring.
Supposedly. Or 6 more weeks of winter, which we already know is bullshit. But PETA, no, we can't have this practice anymore because according to PETA, it should be banned and should be given to an AI groundhog. Because reasons.
They need to immortalize Phil in a computer form, and then Phil will go rogue, and then it will always be winter. Nothing but winter, an eternal winter for humanity.
Well, their exact reasons is that Punxsutawney Phil would be scared of the press, even though I'm pretty sure he seems to...
He does not give 2 shits.
They say AI can detect the weather better. Yeah, that's why we have Weather Channel, and we know Groundhog Day is kind of a myth.
Yeah, statistically, Phil is the worst weatherman of all time, alright? We got it. Prognosticator of prognosticators is clearly a joke.
That's not my favorite thing. The CEO and founder, Irene Newkirk. This is why you shouldn't write in cursive, boys and girls.
The Irene Newkirk, the mind behind that most excellent PETA meme where they have the furry in a cage and be like, cages are for play, not for animals.
The PETA CEO and founder, Irene Newkirk, stated that young people don't care about a nocturnal creature being pulled out from a hole because it isn't worthy of a text message.
I mean, I did a TikTok, so you can shove it, Miss Newkirk. And in our final story, the unpronounceable billionaire from Japan, Mr. Yusaku Maerawa, has backtracked on his plan to find his waifu of space and go on a romantic honeymoon trip around the moon, despite having already put in a substantial down payment. He's lost that deposit and is forever shamed because, according to him, he has kept track of how many women sent him shaming messages about how shameful it is that he would ever want to use his money to get a woman. How dare he?
Wait, how many women was it?
27,722.
Did he seriously just go through freaking Twitter and count them all?
He's a very precise individual. How do you think he became a multimillionaire or a billionaire or whatever the heck he is? He has a lot of money and enough that he's not worried about backtracking on the plan when it doesn't work out for the public eye.
I mean, to be fair, this isn't the first time he's tried something and just decided not to go through with it and lost a shit ton of money.
He gave his ultimate reason as personal reasons for withdrawing from the idea, but I think that what we all have to consider is that he probably just started playing Dream Daddy and realized there were better ways to go out romancing.
You know, he apologized to all the women who actually
All
tried.
27,722 of them?
Not those women. He apologized to the other women who were trying to get on the reality moon trip with him as his girlfriend. I mean, I think he apologized to them too, but he mostly...
What's the female version of getting cucked? Because I feel like those women got cheated out of billionaire husband material.
Well, blame the other
7,722
women. See, this is what happens.
27,722.
Women complain about something and they screw over another woman. Wait, don't...
Clearly it was internalized misogyny driving these women to seek for fame and fortune.
I mean, if men can go out there and get a sugar cookie, why can't a woman go out there and get a sugar daddy?
A sugar cookie.
Yes.
Well, on that thoughtful note, we leave you, ladies and gentlemen. Here, Manly Battleships thanks you for being at Last Week in Geek, the video podcast where we cover all the important news last week in
Very
Geek.
important news.
If you're new to the channel, please come back. There's a subscribe button all over the place. There's subscribe buttons. You can hit that bell so that you can stay tuned to all the videos that we post, the good and the weird. And you can comment below, leaving your thoughts about any of the stories that we've covered this week, and looking forward to the stories that are coming up next week. So without further ado, have a wonderful evening.
See you next week.